Welcome to 5-Minute Theory, lesson number 3. Let's start off with your pencil and your book, and let's write your name at the top of the page. It's always very helpful if you want to get credit. If you have to tear it out and hand it in, you want to make sure that you get the credit for doing the work. All right, so we're going to learn in this lesson about time signatures, how notes are formed into what we call measures with another notation called bar lines. All right, so a bar line is this line that intersects the staff, goes from the top line to the bottom line of the staff. Bar lines are used to separate notes into measures. At the end of a piece of music, we have what's called a double bar line. So usually a thin and a thick, but you can also have two thin bar lines. Pretty simple. The measure is that space between the bar lines. So this is a measure. We would call that measure 1. And this is a measure. We would call that measure 2. So you get used to seeing how notes are formed into these boxes that we call measures. And then if somebody says, hey, start in measure 5, we can think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We know where we are starting when we are rehearsing together, when you learn how to read music. All right, the next thing that we're going to learn is what's called a time signature. A time signature is basically the fraction here at the beginning of a piece of music that tells us how to count the music. So the top number of the time signature tells you how many beats are in a measure. In this one, obviously, 4 beats to a measure. The bottom number tells you which kind of note gets 1 beat. A 4 on the bottom means that the quarter note gets the beat. All right, so that's the only note we know so far. So you're going to have quarter notes. You're going to have 4 at the bottom of the time signature. You can also have 2s for half notes. You can have 8s for eighth notes. You can have 16s. There's all kinds of different time signatures, but right now we're going to stay in what we call quarter time. All right, so here we are on number 1. Fill in the blanks with the correct answer. So look at this time signature. What is the top number? The number is 3, so there are 3 beats to a measure. Now, I already told you what the 4 means. That means the quarter note gets 1 beat, or receives 1 beat. All right, number 2, there are 2 beats in a measure. Excuse my bad handwriting. And for the quarter note gets 1 beat. Now, doing all of these and actually filling in the blanks, it's going to help you remember it. Anytime that you do something that's physical, as opposed to just kind of learning it and just watching me do it, if you do something physical like writing in these or filling in these blanks, you're going to remember it much better. Number 3, how many beats are in a measure of 4/4 time? Pretty simple, 4. Number 4, what kind of note gets the beat in 5/4 time? Now, I'm just tricking you because the kind of note is the bottom note. It's the quarter note. So 5 doesn't have anything to do with what kind of note gets the beat. How many beats would be in that measure? 5. Okay, let's turn the page and go over to the back side of lesson 3. And we're going to do a couple of exercises here that we're learning how to count quarter notes in different time signatures. All right, so the quarter note receives 1 count in quarter time. So if there's a 4 on the bottom number of your time signature, each quarter note receives 1 count. So this one, the top number tells us we are in 4/4 time, right? So every 4 counts, you're going to have a bar line. So we count it 1, 2, 3, 4, bar line. 1, 2, 3, 4, bar line. Pretty simple. All right, line number 5, we're going to start off with a tiny little treble clef. Okay, notice this first measure, 1, 2, 3, 4, is already written in for you, and then I'm going to draw a bar line, which only goes from the top to the bottom. I don't do a bar line that big, right? Just one little bar line. Then we use our numbers to count the next 4 quarter notes. 1, 2, 3, 4. What happens after we get to the last number in the time signature? We draw a bar line. 1, 2, 3, 4. Bar line. But hey, I'm at the end of the line, so I'm going to draw a double bar line. Okay? All right. Line number 6. Let's draw a treble clef first. Whoop. Wow. Try to make it as neat as possible. Later on, you'll be writing your own music in this book, so we want to make sure that you can read what you write. Okay? Now, what's the top number here? 2. So I'm only going to count to 2. 1, 2. After 2, bar line. 1, 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 2, double bar line. Okay, kind of overemphasizing that. But you see how whatever the top number of the time signature is the number of beats in a measure. So whenever I get to that last number, bar line. All right, number 7, treble clef. Oops, I started backwards. All right, 3 counts. So I'm going to 1, 2, 3, bar line. 1, 2, 3, bar line. 1, 2, 3, bar line. 1, 2, 3, double bar line. So you might ask yourself, why are we doing separate time signatures? What's the difference between 2/4 and 3/4 and 4/4 or 5/4? Each one of those has a kind of different feel to the music, which you'll learn about later. When you're playing in 3/4 time, it has a completely different feel than when you're in 4/4 time. So congratulations, you just finished lesson number 3. I'll join you in lesson number 4.